subject of the lesson is life, and the great sense that I got out of it is a sense of abundance and fertility and justice. Before I even started to read the responsive reading, I thought of a verse that I carry with me all the time. It is just a kind of a reminder of God's abundant love for me and for all. And it has the word water in it, and it turned out to show up in section 1. And this is the verse that I carry in my thought all the time when I have claims appearing of a lack of God's love. And this is the way it goes. In section 1, verse 4, or citation 4, there is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. And I have adopted that verse when I feel any kind of attack from the lie of mortal mind, that I am the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High because I'm God's spiritual child, and that there is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, so that God is pouring out joy, great abundance. When you think of a river, you think of abundance. And you feel of the nurturing quality. The streams whereof shall make glad the city of God. So that has always been a favorite of mine for many years. And it must pop into my thought 10 times a day. And lo and behold, it was in this wonderful lesson, which uses water to talk about the love of God. The responsive reading. I thought it was a beautiful section from Isaiah. And the establishment of water as the symbol or statement of the unending, nourishing, supportive love of God. In citation, let's see, it's Isaiah 18. Listen to all this water. I will open rivers in high places and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water and the dry land springs of water. So you have water in every form, nourishing in every place the children of God, the expression of God's children and of God through his ideas. And then in verse 10, the active verbs, 4 active verbs, just matching the 4 qualities of water that had been spoken of, the rivers, the fountains, the pool, and the springs, that they may see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of the Lord hath done this, and the Holy One of Israel hath created it. That mind is all and active, constantly active in loving, protecting, creating ideas. See, know, consider, and understand. And then in the responsive reading, I guess it's Isaiah 55:1. Ho, every one that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye buy and eat. Yea, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. And it reminded me of Jesus' statements to the crowd that followed him after he had fed the 5,000, that they were too much looking for more bread, but actual baked bread and actual caught fish, rather than come, if you thirst for love, come to the waters. And he that hath no money, come ye buy and eat. Buy the truth, which costs no money. Come buy wine and milk without money and without price. The spiritual idea of support what Jesus was teaching about the nature of God, rather than the filling of the belly kind of thing. So that the responsive reading was very rich for me. Okay. And also what came to me during the whole lesson, and certainly from the responsive reading, the hymn of Mrs. Eddy, which I think we call the communion hymn, which starts out, "Saw ye my Savior, heard ye the glad sound, the bread and the wine." And I often thought, why is there water in there? And I know the bread and the wine, but why is there water? And I can see now from this lesson that the water is probably the water of baptism in spirit. As Mrs. Eddy takes in this entire lesson, she takes the rivers of water and spiritualizes them and shows their action under the power of mind. Oh, the last verse is, "Strongest deliverer, friend of the friendless, life of all being divine. Thou the Christ and not the creed, thou the truth in thought and deed, thou the water, the bread, and the wine." Okay, section 1 has that wonderful verse I've just spoken about. "There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God." Also, water appears again in that wonderful citation from Mrs. Eddy. "As a drop of water is one with the ocean, a ray of light one with the sun, even so God and man, Father and Son, are one in being." In section 1 also, from the Science and Health, and I think it's from citation 4, it talks about the loveliness of nature. The grass beneath our feet silently exclaims. There's that active verb again. The modest arbutus sends her sweet breath to heaven. The great rock gives shadow and shelter. The sunlight glints from the church dome, glances into the prison cell, glides into the sick chamber, brightens the flower, beautifies the landscape, blesses the earth. And I looked at my garden very differently after I read this lesson the first time. And I realized how active beauty is. Because the earth, Mrs. Eddy says, is a compound idea. And of course the Christ is present. Okay, it is that I looked at my garden and actually at the planet and reminding myself, as triggered by this verse, that the earth is a compound idea, and ideas are active in presenting the Christ to man. And so I look at my blossoms and I see them much more as ideas, active in creating the beauty of holiness with the Christ active in them. So the section 1 was very important to me. Let's see. Section 2 continues with the sense of watering. You enrich with the river of God, which is full of water, which is blessing. Let's see, in section 2, the Pison River is the love of the good and beautiful and their immortality. And in this lesson, as in last week's lesson, the beauty of holiness is very clearly a theme. And that beauty is made up of not material atoms or mortal mind beliefs, but it's the beauty of good. Good is very beautiful. And it clothes us as ideas with immortality. Also, the love of good is our way of praising God, is what I got out of this section. Our love of good is our way of praising God. And this is our job, to praise God as the only power, the only love. Comeliness and grace are independent of matter. And that was very reassuring. Now we come to the second river, which is Gihon or Gihon. I don't remember. I wrote down the pronunciation, but I can't read my notes. Judgment, God's judgment and justice are at work in the world. That is part of the gift of the water of God's love. And we have the lovely story of women gaining their inheritance, which they would normally have been deprived of. And our whole section is on judgment and justice, and particularly for women. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. From Proverbs in the description of a good woman. Okay. Mrs. Eddy says the ideal woman corresponds to life and to love. And of course, she in her life certainly shows that woman is equal as idea. As Genesis 1 says, male and female created him. And behold, it was very good. Let's see. I think we have that coupling in section 3 on justice, that about what power is. No power can withstand divine love is in citation 12. Very short sentences, like the rap of a gavel, pronouncing what is true. Truth brings the elements of liberty. Short sentence. And then that wonderful, at the end of section 3, divine principle is the life of man. Okay, the third river is Hiddekel, and it goes east of Assyria. I am come that they might have life, and they might have it more abundantly. And that starts us off. the one leper shows very clearly that divine science was, in his case, understood and acknowledged. And of course, he was a Samaritan. So there was total purity in his understanding. And I think that's just wonderful that this river mentions Assyria, and that Jesus has consistently given praise and acceptance to Samaritans. Anyway, it was just a random thought. Okay. Now we go to that this river, section 4 in Science and Health, brings healing. There's one citation, number 24. No, it's 18. 18 is this citation. Immortal mind governing all must be acknowledged as supreme in the physical realm, so-called, as well as in the spiritual. I think that's so important that healing takes place in the physical world. And there's a wonderful article in one of the classic collections, 1, 2, and 3. The coincidence of the physical, divine, and the human. And I have not made a notation of where it is, because I think I mentioned it before. But it is very helpful, I think, in having people understand, and all of us clearly understand, that God is supreme in this physical realm, or the human realm, as well as in the spiritual. Now we come to the fourth river, which is the Euphrates, from Ezekiel and his vision. And this is where the water goes crazy. To the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house. Eastward, for the forefront of the house stood toward the east. And he measured, and then he measured again 1,000 cubits. And he measured 1,000 and brought the waters. The waters were to the knees. Again he measured 1,000 and brought me through the waters were to the loins. And afterward he measured 1,000, and it was a river I could not pass over, for the waters were risen, waters to swim in, a river that could not be passed over. Now, what is that all about? Well, Mrs. Eddy says, Euphrates River is divine science encompassing the universe and man, the true idea of God, a type of the glory which is to come, metaphysics taking the place of physics. That, I think, is the most important. Metaphysics taking the place of physics. It could not be measured anymore according to physics, because it now represented metaphysics, which has no boundaries. Those rivers shall live. The waters shall be healed when they go down into the sea. And everything shall live whither the river cometh. It's a wonderful vision from Ezekiel. And Mrs. Eddy's explanation of it is just so reassuring. You cannot measure science by any human mathematics, which is another name for physics. The reign of righteousness is established. Okay. Now what else? Okay. And she has in citation 22, the last few lines, the rule of healing based upon its divine principle love, underlying, overlying, and encompassing all true being. And the thought goes back to that water that cannot be measured, cannot be passed over, because it accomplishes everything. There's nothing on the other side of the river that you could go through the river and find something on the other side, because it is all divine science. For with thee is the fountain of life. So that is just about the essence of what I got from the lesson. Now, I also, let's see. Okay. I love the universality that's expressed in section 7 in the Bible. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst the fountain of the water of life freely. That's that water that cannot be passed over, for there is only the water of divine science. There is in Anthology 1 a favorite article of mine. This is the anthology of classic articles. Nobody has to follow through on it, but I find it very comforting and very much related to this lesson. It's called From Zone to Zone, and it's written by Julia M. Johnston, Volume 1, page 47. And the Zone to Zone title is taken from Mrs. Eddy's Christ in Christmas. Fast circling on from zone to zone, bright, blessed, far, o'er the grim night of chaos shone one lone, brave star. And Johnson takes up this idea of zones, and very much that man has created, or mortal man has created, zones in which evil can operate. And she says, and I'll just quote two different places, all ideas of the Creator live and disport themselves in perfect safety throughout the endless realm of mind. They know no fear, peril, and boundless love. They know that they can never go beyond love's care. There is no occasion for evil in immeasurable good, no breeding time for paganism, no room for animal magnetism, no tract for war, no place for pestilence, no region for captivity, no chance for discord, sin, or death. And then there's a wonderful paragraph that, let's see, it's just so powerful. The Christ is the deliverer of men, both before and after the claim of death. May have asserted itself. It is the master of the beliefs of battle and the grave. She says that mortal mind tends to set up a zone, a war zone, a pestilence zone, a zone where evil can operate. And she says there is no such thing. No edicts, walls, guards, circumstances, or localities can shut out the Christ from anyone. And that reminds me so much of this water that just cannot be stopped. The Christ shows the breadth of love across all waters and over all lands, beyond all space and time, never ceasing, never absent, here and hereafter stretches the breadth of love. Worlds upon worlds turn in its grasp, and the tiniest identity of life is nourished in its bosom. On and on in endless being, love lives and knows and keeps its own. So I think it's just a kind of a rewriting of the water image. Pass over living waters. Okay, I've been long-winded and I don't mean to be, but it was a very powerful lesson.